Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. There is this foregone conclusion that you're a teenager, you turn 18, women go through their whore phase, then they settle down, and then they get married as a part of being an adult. But here's the truth of the matter. The country is not built for marriage anymore. Everything since you were a little girl, and I'll get to the little boys in a second, has told you that you, and only you, matter all by yourself. Just you. Not your parents, not your father, not your mom, not your sisters and brothers, not your aunts and uncles, not your grandparents, just you. And that you, now, in the last 20 years, now you can make life-altering decisions by yourself without consulting your parents or anybody else from the age of 0. So, the country is no longer set up for people to be married. And in fact, if you do get married, the courts, the lawyers, the judges, and the city is set up to encourage you to get a divorce. Encourage you to get a divorce. Why? Because they are encouraged to process as many divorces as they possibly can. Because they get money from divorces. Let me repeat that. They get money from divorces. You do not get half. You do not get 50% of his assets. And in fact, he doesn't even pay half. He doesn't pay 50%. He pays more like 75%. And if you happen to be one of the lucky women, you make more money than he does, they take 75% from you and give it to him. But here's the scoop. You don't get the 75%. You don't get half. You get around 20%. And they take that each and every month. Alimony, child support, they get their portion first. I want to talk about being a wife. It is no longer a part of growing up. It is no longer a part of adulthood. In 2023, for you to be a proper wife, you must be born into a family. First of all, husband and wife, mom and dad. You have to be born into that scenario first. And your mother needs to train you from childhood for you to be a proper wife. It is a lifestyle in 2023. It is not a part of growing up and being an adult. 70 years ago, it was a part of growing up and being an adult. But 70 years ago, you were automatically born into a two-parent household, and it didn't matter if you were black or white. You were born into a two-parent household. In fact, black people were far more successful at being a two-parent household. They had a higher marriage rate and a much, much lower divorce rate because it's a part of our culture. 2023, you're not automatically born into a two-parent household. And your mother doesn't train you from childhood how to be a proper wife. And in fact, in 2023, any sort of speech talking about what a proper wife is malign, is insulted, and is considered hate speech. When people say you are not wife material, that is considered a high insult, although the response is, I didn't want to be a wife anyway. Nobody wants to be married in 2023. Well, that's not true globally or across the United States. That's only true in the big cities. So, that's number 3. Two-parent household, mother trained you from childhood how to be a proper wife. Number 3, you can't be from a big city. Just cannot be from a big city. Number 4, you have to be conservative. You have to. There is no success scenario whereby you as a proper wife are a Democrat, are a liberal, are a progressive. The two do not meet at all. Being a wife is a lifestyle. So, no, you cannot be a Democrat and be a wife. Can't. Why? Because I have all of the stats that prove that it just can't happen. And to go along with that, you can't be a feminist at all. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even like, I believe that women should have rights. No, you can't even believe that. To be a proper wife, no, you can't believe that at all. To be a proper wife, it is a lifestyle. It is not a foregone conclusion. You must love children to be a proper wife. You must love children. And you must see yourself as an instrument to bring forth children into the world and to train your daughters, because you can't train a man to be a man. You can't train a boy to be a man. That's done by men. You have absolutely no idea what it is to be a man. None. You have no idea. At the very base, at the most base, and this is why so many women are completely ruining their sons these days, because they have run off their husbands or run off their boyfriends or run off their baby daddy and have ruined boys completely, to the tune of 95% of people in prison are from single mothers. You don't understand testosterone and its effect on the brain of the boy, of the adolescent, of the adult. You have no idea. You have no inkling of what that means. 1,000 men could explain it to you in detail and you still wouldn't grasp the most infinitesimal detail of it. You wouldn't understand. You would not understand. You are to love children, but you are to limit yourself to raising only the girls and turning them into women. If you properly love your husband and tell her to honor, respect, and obey her father. That is the only case. And finally, you have to love your husband more than you love yourself. Proper wife. It is a lifestyle. It is not for every woman. If you are independent, you are not a proper wife. You will never be a proper wife. And you are doing your partner, the man in your life, a complete disservice by even pretending that you're married to him. You are destroying the man and possibly slowly killing him. I bet you nag him daily. I bet you nag him if he's around hourly. I bet, I guarantee you. I bet you're so toxic to him that it is just a hellhole living with you. I don't even have to know your name. I don't even have to know you. Now, how to be a proper husband. Again, this comes from the training a father does to a boy, to his son. He teaches him from the very beginning how to be a man. Has nothing to do with women and nothing that you care about or nothing that you want to instill into your son. Stop talking. It's not your lane. Stay out of it. The proper way for a boy to become a man is through his father. Period. End of story. There's no input from you whatsoever. And you know what your role is in it is to be loved by your husband, his father. That's it. That's your role. To be loved by your. Did you read in the Bible where it says, woman, respect your husband, a man, love your wife? Why? Because women are perfectly fine and perfectly capable of loving their husband. Psst, easy, all day long, loving. Love does not mean respect. You can say that you love your husband all day long, but you yell at him, insult him in public, wear skimpy clothing in public, insult the family name in public, cause scenes in public. That's done when you don't respect your husband. So, the only thing that your role in as far as raising a son is to be loved by your husband and to make absolutely sure you show in front of your child that you respect your husband. But this is mainly to be going to the daughter so that she sees that mommy respects daddy. That's the lesson for her, but it's a good lesson for the son to see it also. The son has to have the lesson of responsibility, and the whole idea of not crying. It's not that you don't cry. It's not that men don't cry. It's not that men don't get emotional. It's that men cannot ever lose control because men are in charge of every situation. In the case of an emergency, a man is supposed to have the fortitude and the mental acuity to completely suppress any and all emotions over the situation and to be able to think logically through the entire emergency. That's what a man is. It's not that he can't cry, he can't lose control. He must be in control at all times. Do not go to your son and say, you can cry on mommy's shoulder. No, you shouldn't be doing that at all. That ruins the son. That ruins the training. Leave all of that sort of the femininity, leave that for your daughter. A man must always be in control. Now, it is said in a lot of dating guru YouTube videos and TikTok videos will give you advice. Never cry in front of your wife. No, I'm going to tell you no. And you're going to get all sorts of examples. Oh yes, I was dating this guy and he cried in front of me and I just lost all attraction for him and I dumped him immediately. It's not never cry in front of your woman. It's never cry in front of a woman who is not a proper wife. Back in the 50s, men were weak around their wives. They got sick. They got laid up in bed for weeks. They cried. They shed tears. All sorts of stuff. It wasn't the man crying in front of the wife. It was that the wife really was strong. And the wife put on pants and said, okay, I am going to keep this family together. Honey, you lay up in bed. Daughter is going to come and bring you chicken soup, and I'm going to go out and keep this family going. We're going to have the house bill paid, but back in those days, the house note was $10 or something crazy, right? $100, something crazy. So it wasn't really anything necessary for her to go work or anything like that. But it was the woman. It wasn't the fact that he cried in front of her. It was the woman. The women of today are not worth crying in front of. The women of today are not there. That's not their bailiwick. It has nothing to do with crying in front of your woman. In fact, I would encourage every man that if he even considers dating the woman to cry in front of her and see how she acts. And you will weed out and spare yourself all sorts of suffering. And the woman who first of all, two things, doesn't overreact to it, and who doesn't bring it up again, ever. And in this day of social media, doesn't bring it up online. All of those are characteristics of a woman who's not wife qualified. It's the woman. It's the quality of the woman. It is not the case of you crying in front of the woman. I recommend you cry in front of every woman you even care to even care about. Cry in front of her. If it turns her off, she's not the one. She was never the one, and she's probably going to be somebody else's problem. You dodged a bullet. There you go. There's the life hack from Shakaama. A boy needs a two-parent household even more so than a daughter, than a girl. For the most part, the children go to the mother. So the girl are okay. They also end up in prison and jail. If they're in a single mom household, they certainly do. But women, for the most part, are less likely to do all sorts of violent crime. A proper wife and a proper husband is a lifestyle. Stop thinking that it's just, it's something you do when you turn 25 or 30 and men are not calling on you. I need to settle down. The whole I need to settle down was a man thing only. Why? Because men could jump from bed to bed to bed to bed to bed every night. The women cannot jump from bed to bed to bed. They end up pregnant on the first bed. It's not until the modern age that we have the capability of a woman from jumping bed to bed to bed to bed. And when people said, oh yeah, you should go through your whore phase, they leave out STDs, health concerns, all sorts of stuff like that. The heartache, the stress, the sadness, right? Anyway, there you go. Have fun.